2023 whiteout street parties are our three-peat, or our hat trick, if you will.
This time, fans will be restricted to just one block on Donald Street between Portage and Graham Avenue, a smaller footprint and crowd. Capacity is being capped at just 5,000 people.
5,000 people is not a small number, but we're going to stick with 5,000 for the foreseeable future. When we get to playoffs in June, I think we'll revisit this.
All bets are off.
All bets are off, yeah.
But this year, the whiteout will cost you more green. True North's Kevin Donnelly says in previous years, people hoarded tickets. Many went wasted, and they're hoping a $10 fee will combat that.
We think that having a $10 value, really, you're not going to grab 4 of them and not use them, so we think it'll offer some certainty to how many people do show up. It's not about the money, it's about just the safe way to operate it.
This year, there's a second location for fans to gather. The party at the plaza is going to happen at True North Square. Roughly 1,000 people will be able to party here. Tickets are $20.
True North says it costs 6 figures to put on every street party. The province is putting in a yet-to-be-determined amount of money per playoff round, and the city is helping with policing costs. And partial proceeds from all ticket sales will be donated to United Way. While Winnipeg was under an international spotlight during the Jets' playoff run in 2018, Economic Development's Dana Spiring says this year they're hoping to shine a bigger light locally.
It's more important to get Winnipeggers back downtown. It's important for all the small businesses in this area to get people back here and just rip the Band-Aid off. It's not so scary. We've got to come back, and we've got to be here in full force.
Doors will open 2 hours ahead of puck drop for the street party and 4 hours ahead at the plaza. Tickets go on sale Monday at 10 a.m. Brittany Greenslade, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Now, here's a look at the one-block area for the $10 party. Again, it's along Donald with the entrance at Donald and Graham. The $20 party at the plaza is a block away at Graham and Hargrave. Progressive Conservative members are gathering in Winnipeg this weekend for the party's annual general meeting. With the governing Tories trailing in the polls as the election's coming up, a lot is at stake this year. Perhaps that's why people are still talking about the alleged altercation between 2 MLAs yesterday. CBC's Ian Fraze joins us now live from RBC Convention Centre. Ian, what's happening this weekend at the AGM?
Well, Tories are gathering here to get together, talk, energize the base, and it comes on the heels of what turned out to be a contentious day yesterday at the legislature. As we told you on the show yesterday, Cabinet Minister Abhi Khan is accusing NDP leader Wab Kinew of swearing at him. Both men say Kinew did not appreciate Khan's comments during the event, but that's about where the similarities end. Khan alleged that during the handshake, Kinew cursed at him, but Kinew just called it a tense verbal exchange. Political scientist Christopher Adams says this incident is a chance for the PCs to remind voters of Kinew's past, like his criminal record.
The last election, they claimed that Wab Kinew is a man with a troubled background, that he's misogynist, and this has been, the way by which the PCs have attacked Wab Kinew. And I have to say, Wab Kinew has not behaved according to those characterizations. He's been a different type of politician. So Wab Kinew, in many ways, has built up his reputation with the Manitoba electorate. But with this incident yesterday, it's an opportunity for the PCs to get back into those accusations.
Kinew was on our radio show Up to Speed in the last hour. He says that while his conduct yesterday wasn't perfect, he believes the Tories are trying to use what happened for political gain.
Sure that once he shared that with the PC team, then the political staff jumps in. And then it becomes an opportunity to take shots at me. And, it is something that I think I've personally expected, everybody on our team has expected. I think we all know that the PCs are not going to be able to run an election campaign on healthcare or on, their failures in government. So they're going to try and run attacks against me.
So do we have any evidence, Ian, of what actually happened?
We've asked Janet. The PCs have not provided any photos or video of what they say transpired, but at the same time, perhaps none exists. This handshake did happen off to the side. CBC was there, we had our camera, but we also did not capture this moment. For his part, Khan says he's sticking with his version of events.
We've got to wait to see what the speaker rules on this. And from there, I would like a heartfelt apology from Wob. He knows what happened between him and I. He knows how long that interaction was. From there, regardless of what happens, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, and that is going to be a champion for the city, a champion for this province, for our government, and continue doing the great work we are doing.
I also spoke to a teacher who was 2 rows back from when the handshake happened. She says she didn't see anything that appeared to be contentious. She did not see Khan, or rather, she did not see Canoe shoving Khan. That's something that Khan alleged. But she says that she could not hear the whole conversation since she was 2 rows back, and she notes that Khan appeared to be agitated when he went back to his seat.
Now let's look forward to this weekend, the actual AGM. What's going to happen there, Ian?
Yeah, well, right behind me in a little over an hour, Heather Stephenson will be nominated. She's the Premier of Manitoba, of course. She will be nominated as the PC candidate for Tuxedo. Expect a rah-rah speech to the party faithful. Tomorrow, the convention will continue. The PCs will have a keynote speech done by Heather Stephenson. The party members will be debating policy, and there will be a report on potential changes to future leadership races. The last one, in which Stephenson narrowly beat Shelley Glover, was ultimately challenged in court, but Glover lost. That meeting will be closed to members of the media, but the media is expected to get a summation of what was decided. Janet.
Thanks for this, Ian. CBC's Ian Fraze reporting live tonight from the Convention Centre. The return of spring in Winnipeg also means the return of pothole problems. And some say the city might be in over its head this year when it comes to fixing them. CBC's Emily Brass joins us now live from the newsroom. Emily, you've been looking into this. How is the city doing so far with potholes?
Well, city crews got off to a really strong start, filling about 3 times more potholes in late winter than last year. But this month, things started to lag. Crews fixed 36,000 potholes last April, but they've only repaired about 2,400 so far this month. A lot of that has to do with the long winter we had, and the late thaw means there will likely be a late start to summer road repairs too. But many say weather isn't the only challenge. An engineer at the University of Manitoba says a lot of Winnipeg streets were built 40 to 60 years ago, making them more susceptible to cracking and crumbling. But he says there's also a shortage of materials nearby for fixing potholes. There's limestone from Stonewall, gravel from the Birds Hill Park area, and recycled materials recrushed from existing roads. But Ahmed Shalabi says we need more.
The stronger aggregates will be further away, whether it's the Canadian Shield or Northern Manitoba. And given the large quantities that are required for road building and for construction in general, it becomes a lot more expensive.
Oh, a lot more expensive. What does that mean for the city's budget?
Well, 5 years ago, the city said it's dealing with a huge infrastructure deficit. It said it's running about $6.9 billion short when it comes to the cost for things like fixing or replacing roads over the next decade. But some put the blame on urban sprawl. Michel Durand-Wood is an advocate who contributed to Anatomy of a Pothole, which looked at city spending and infrastructure. And he says Winnipeg already has more pavement than it can afford to keep up. And he says the city should think twice before investing in pricey projects like widening Kenniston Boulevard and extending Chief Peguis Trail. Estimates for those are pegged at $500 million apiece.
If we are not even close to being able to maintain the roads that we already have, is it a good idea to spend $1 billion to continue to expand that, right? Essentially, when you're in a hole, you should stop digging.
Well, he and other advocates say the city needs to change its mindset and prioritize infill development within Winnipeg's core instead of building along the outer edges. Meanwhile, the city's budget for road repairs compared to last year is down by $9 million. Janet?
CBC's Emily Brass reporting live tonight from the newsroom. Thank you, Emily. A Winnipeg man who admits making one of the guns used in a shooting at the Red River exhibition last summer has been sentenced to 12 years in prison for gun trafficking. 24-year-old Brake Ellison Crate pleaded guilty to 13 separate charges, including manufacturing firearms. Court heard Ellison Crate made 3D printed ghost guns, which are untraceable, in his apartment. He was charged after Canada Border Services agents seized a package destined for Winnipeg, which contained parts used to assemble guns. While in jail, he was recorded on a phone call claiming to have been the person behind guns used in some crimes in Winnipeg. A plan to build an apartment complex on the parking lot of a Winnipeg shopping mall is getting pushed back. Residents near the Northgate shopping centre have filed an appeal against the project. As CBC's Cameron McLean reports, opponents say it will make an already nightmarish traffic situation even worse.
Well, this is the outlet for the mall.
Doug Panchuk has lived near the Northgate shopping centre for more than 30 years. He's one of more than a dozen people who have signed an appeal against plans to build apartments on the south parking lot.
If you want to visit this mall, I mean, traffic through here is currently a nightmare. So I can't imagine what it'll be like with another 100+ vehicles.
The owners of the mall want to build 3 towers with more than 200 apartments. City Council approved the project earlier this year. Panchuk says he's worried about increasing traffic in an area that includes 2 nearby elementary schools. He also foresees other potential problems.
But if we fill up this entire area with 3 apartment complexes, how will they manage the snow?
The owners of the mall say the parking lot is underused. Housing advocate Steve Snyder lives nearby and says the area needs more places for people to live.
My kids will want to stay in the neighborhood when they get old enough, and there's nothing in the neighborhood for them to live in right now. I'm worried about the future of the neighborhood.
Panchuk says there may be a way to find a middle ground that would lessen the impact on existing residents.
Build 1 tower first, and let's work slowly into this.
The appeal hearing is scheduled for next Wednesday. Cameron McLean, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A retired Winnipeg couple has won one of the largest lottery ticket prizes in Manitoba history. At first, they thought it was an April Fool's joke. CBC's Janelle Henry picks up their story.
This is not real. Janice and Randy Glaze are still in shock as they claim their $60 million prize.
Randy wants to go to Vegas and have a beer.
The draw happened on March 31st. The next day, the winning ticket was reported as sold in Winnipeg. Randy says he usually waits a few days before he checks his numbers and expected the usual "please play again" that they've been getting for the past 15 years.
Coming out and it had a 6 0 0 0 0 0 0 0.
And I'm like, the machine's broken.
The couple's win is tied for the highest lottery payout in Manitoba. Another $60 million prize was won 2 years ago. And in 2009, $50 million was won by the Fontaines, a couple from Saugeen First Nation.
Let's hear a cheer, everybody!
Just like the Fontaines, the pair plans on giving back now that they don't have to live paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, it's good, changing in our life, and hopefully we can change other people's lives,
including their sons and their grandchildren's. Janelle Henry, CBC News, Winnipeg.
That is so fantastic. I'm so happy to see them. Riley Laychuk, our weather specialist. You know Riley. Okay, first thing you do.
Pay off my mortgage.
Hey, good thought. Very good. I thought maybe
Use
another.
Use it wisely first.
Right, and then go to Vegas for a beer.
Yeah.
Vegas for a beer, baby. How about the weather? Is that something we need to, hop in a plane and get away from?
Well, yeah, it's something that money can't fix, unfortunately. But, well, unless you jump on a plane, of course. Yeah, definitely a damp and moist day here in southern Manitoba. I'll show you why. As we take a look at the big picture here, you can see that temperatures really struggle today in southern Manitoba and really across the Prairie provinces. We did see some snow even in parts of southern Saskatchewan last night. 3 degrees in Winnipeg at the moment, really single digits across most of the Prairie provinces. And that's because we have the jet stream here that is really sinking sinking south, and that is allowing all of this cooler air to move further south from the north. And the other interesting thing this is going to do is drive that rain that we saw earlier today a little bit further north. So we'll show you that in a moment. But here's the area where that heat really is. Southern Ontario, 25s through Southern Ontario. We got up to almost 30 degrees in Windsor earlier this afternoon, even some 30s along the eastern seaboard earlier this afternoon. So it has been a very warm day in parts of the country. Here's the remnants of that rain here that moved through southern Manitoba earlier this morning. And you can see that it is pushing a little bit further north. You can really see where the jet stream is here. And that, we don't have radar coverage up here, but this is all snow up along the northeastern edge of Manitoba into northwestern Ontario. And that is going to continue moving further to the north as we get into the night tonight, into Saturday morning. You can see we start Saturday under a mainly cloudy sky here. Could see a drop or a flurry in parts of northwestern Manitoba tonight as well. And then by the time we get into the later part of Saturday, we start to see a little bit of clearing along the western edge of Manitoba. Temperatures will get up around that 7-8 degree mark tomorrow afternoon for areas like Brandon, Dauphin. We'll see that clearing moving in as we get into early Sunday morning. Sunday, a nice mix of sun and cloud through much of the province. A much more stable day weather-wise, and that really does continue into Monday. Looking at our snowfall projections here, really most of that snow is centered out into northwestern Ontario. Could pick up a couple centimeters around God's Lake, even down to Barons River. We could see some trace amounts with that system on the northwestern side of Manitoba as we get into the supper hour on Saturday. So we're at 3 degrees. We really didn't get much better than 5 earlier this afternoon in Winnipeg. Pressure is rising at the moment, down to -1 overnight tonight. Slim chance we could see a sprinkle still through the night tonight. Waking up to 0 in the morning with a mainly cloudy sky. We start to see our winds picking up as well. And then a mainly cloudy afternoon tomorrow. Some sunny breaks through the late part of the day with a high of 5 degrees. So next few days, nice stable weather conditions, a bit breezy on Sunday. Monday, a high of 9. Normal for this time of the year is 10. And then we start to get into a bit more instability toward the later half of next week, Janet. And I'll talk about that and talk about an event we have coming up in Manitoba a bit later in the show.
Thank you very much, Riley. Looking forward to it. So what length would you go to flip a home? Are you willing to go through piles and piles of someone else's garbage to turn a profit? And if so, could you do it with your sibling? Heather and Nathan Porteous are the Manitobans who star in the HGTV program Canada's Hoarder House Flippers. They're appearing at this year's Winnipeg Home and Garden Show, and that's where CBC's Jim Agapito met them.
I'm at the RBC Convention Center at the Home and Garden Show with
Heather Porteous,
Nathan Porteous, and your show is
Hoarder House Flippers.
I'm wondering, I'm putting my home on the market. Not me personally, but other people.
I know a realtor for you if you're putting, yeah.
Okay, well, what are some tips people can do if they're doing that?
So one thing that I always suggest to potential sellers is to get a stager. If your house is going to go on the market empty, staging just elevates it to the next level and really helps potential buyers see what your home could be.
I think a lot of people should focus on the kitchens and the bathrooms. That is a big kind of selling point for houses and should be one of your main, features, selling points. Like that's what people want. They want a kitchen and bathroom. They want it to be nice. Basements and stuff maybe aren't so important, but anything you can do to just kind of up the curb appeal is helpful.
And what about if you're on a budget? What are some tips if you're on a budget?
Clean your house. Declutter. It's true. You live in the house, so you don't necessarily see every little thing. Give it an extra good clean and declutter. That's all free.
Now, I'm wondering, what are things that people in Winnipeg, the home buyers market, what are the things they're looking for?
I think in Winnipeg, a lot of people want a garage and a yard. Especially for seasons are short. People really like their outdoor space. We've learned pretty quickly that not having a garage and not having a yard make it for a little bit of a tough sell. And I think that, in my opinion, that's pretty important.
And I think people are looking for a home that's a little bit outside the box. People aren't looking for that cookie cutter home anymore. They want eclectic design trends and thoughtful design that is going to make the house their own.
Okay. Now let's have a little bit of fun here. Now I know that with your show, you encounter some pretty interesting things. What is the worst thing or grossest thing that you both have encountered?
Okay, so I think that Nathan and I would have the same answer for the grossest thing if we said it on 3, 2, 1. Fridges?
The fridges, yeah.
So we buy houses. Sometimes the house has been vacant for 5, 6, 7 years, right? But the fridges are still filled with food. Let me tell you, yeah, that's the grossest thing ever. We have had multiple experiences with multiple fridges.
The problem is you really shouldn't smell them, but at the same time, if you don't smell it, know how horrific it is, you can't tell the story about, hey, open up this fridge and instantly threw up and things like that, which has happened on many occasions.
Yes.
Oh boy, that sounds like such an ordeal. Success stories. What are some of your favorite success stories?
So we've done quite a few flips together. I mean, we did one flip. It took us 5 days. We just did some painting and we staged and we made $80,000 on the house. So that's our biggest success story business-wise. I mean, working together and not going home maimed at the end of the day, that's always a success as well for us.
So far, we haven't lost any money. There's also been flips that we haven't done, that great on, but for the most part, we try to keep a budget that we want a specific amount of money for each house that we do.
And then I go over that budget.
And then Heather goes way over it,
Yep,
and
every
then we
time.
start panicking, and But it equals out to be pretty good. So you do good on some, you don't do good on others, and as long as it's kind of in the middle, then we're okay.
Okay, just listening to the two of you, you are a sister and brother duo.
Yes, we are.
What is it like working with each other?
It has its highs and its lows, obviously, right? Like there are days where I go home with a sore throat because we've been screaming at each other so much throughout the day. But, for Nathan anyways, like lunchtime rolls around and he goes from angry to like, what's for lunch today? He's excited. So we're best friends again.
Gotta like lunchtime, best time of the day. That and home time, the two.
It has its challenges, but in the end, it's been super rewarding and I can't imagine doing it with anyone else.
Wow, wow, wow. So I know on one of your shows, you found a cat.
Yep.
I'm wondering, okay, that's a great find, by the way. Who doesn't love cats? People love cats.
We all do.
Yeah.
Yep.
So how's the cat doing, and is it still living on your parents' farm?
Lucky the cat is still living at Mom and Dad's farm. We go out and see her all the time. Yep, she's doing really well.
My parents have a big farm out in Woodlands, and my dad is probably the biggest animal lover out there. So he goes out in the morning and pets all his kitty cats, and they are his family. So she's living her best life.
Yep.
Well, that's great. So tell everyone when you'll be speaking on the weekend.
So we are going to be on the main stage here at 3 p.m. on Sunday afternoon.
And when can people see your show?
So season 1 is available right now. You can watch it on Stack TV,
Season 2
and Hulu and Global TV app.
Yeah, season 2, we've been told it's coming out in fall. So it's spring last year, fall this year. So that's all we know. We don't have an exact date, but that's what they told us.
But we're all done filming, so we're ready for everyone to watch it.
Yep.
Well, thanks so much, and I hope everyone comes out to see both of them, give you some tips this weekend.
Thank you, Jim. The Prime Minister's Chief of Staff testified today in front of a Commons committee. She was asked about alleged interference in Canada's elections. Hear what she has to say coming up. You're watching CBC Winnipeg News. Commons Committee sessions spurred by alleged Chinese government interference in Canada's elections heard from Justin Trudeau's Chief of Staff today. But Katie Telford, often citing security concerns, left many questions unanswered. The CBC's Rafi Boudjikanian reports.
It took weeks before the Prime Minister's office agreed to let his Chief of Staff take these questions.
When did the Prime Minister become aware of Beijing's election interference in the 2019 election? Just the date, please. It's been 5 months. It's been repeatedly asked. Could you please answer?
This has been an ongoing conversation over many months and years.
The opposition zeroing in on stories reported by Global News. Toronto's Chinese Consul General allegedly tried to funnel money toward 11 Liberal and Conservative candidates 4 years ago.
In other words, the Prime Minister seemingly knew as early as February of 2020 about candidates. Why has he misled Canadians for the past 5 months?
So I can confirm that if they are documents that he received, he absolutely read them. I can't get into, unfortunately, in this public setting, what was or wasn't briefed on.
For months, the Liberals have said national security issues may preclude a full public disclosure of their knowledge on foreign interference. That didn't stop renewed calls today for a public inquiry. Trudeau's Chief of Staff didn't weigh in either way.
It's not clear what the question should be. It's not clear what body is best to look at it given the sensitive nature of the information. This is almost entirely national security information.
The committee did receive some new information today, namely that national security officials have formally briefed the Prime Minister and his office at least 8 times on foreign interference since October 2018. But it's next month that everyone will be watching closely. That's when the special rapporteur is set to recommend whether or not a public inquiry should be held. Rafi Boudjikanian, CBC News, Ottawa.
Russia is pushing through laws to widen recruitment and bolster its troop numbers amid brutal fighting in Ukraine. It's introducing e-conscription through its widely used government services platform. As CBC's Briar Stewart reports, that's expected to make draft dodging harder for Russians.
Max Nikolsky landed in Turkey for a vacation last fall, just hours before Russia announced its mobilization drive. So he stayed.
I don't want to go to war, and I don't want to receive a draft paper. It was quite an easy decision.
He wasn't around to receive the draft notice dropped off at his former employer in November. But soon the orders will be delivered electronically through this well-used government portal, which citizens log on to do things like pay taxes or renew a driver's license. Nikolsky used to think the website was an innovative way to make life easier. Not anymore.
Right now, it appeared that it's like upside down, that, you know, it turned out to be like some kind of digital gulag and everything.
If people don't turn up at the military enlistment office, they will be banned from leaving Russia and face restrictions like not being able to buy or sell real estate or register a vehicle. Those also apply to people living outside the country. On the streets of Moscow, some are worried. It all looks like a growing degree of insanity, said this man. I feel like this is the next step, and I don't know how it will end. Others speak of patriotic duty. Every man should pay his debt to the motherland, and if any measures are needed for this, then I think it's right. This Russian lawyer says while there are still a few avenues to challenge a draft notice, people will no longer be able to try and physically dodge them. There are problems at the front and everyone can see this, he says, and there are also problems with recruitment. The government says it's going digital to try and clean up the chaotic conscription system. It denies claims that Russia is on the brink of another mass mobilization, which led to hundreds of thousands of men fleeing the country last year. Simon Soblin fled months before mobilization because he feared it was coming and says, like many others, this new law will keep him away.
But with this new law, I will just not feel safe to go there. And I don't think I will feel safe ever again.
He says not until the war is over and a new government is in power. Briar Stewart, CBC News, London.
The man accused of leaking highly classified U.S. documents made a first court appearance today in Boston. 21-year-old Jack Teixeira was arrested yesterday by the FBI for allegedly posting state secrets online. As Chris Reyes reports, the case has government officials rethinking how they handle sensitive information.
It's a beautiful day.
It's gorgeous.
The family of 21-year-old Jack Teixeira avoiding all questions as they walked into a courtroom in Boston. Teixeira, a U.S. Air Force guardsman, faced the judge for the first time since his dramatic arrest on Thursday in his home in Dayton, Massachusetts. The charges: unlawfully copying and possessing classified defense records. It's alleged Teixeira leaked dozens of classified documents and posted them on the social media platform Discord, including information on the war in Ukraine, angering some members of Congress.
I've never seen a leak like this that may, and I do emphasize may, have a real effect on the battlefield in Ukraine.
It's one of the most high-profile security leaks in the U.S. in recent years, prompting the U.S. Department of Defense to launch an investigation.
Department of Defense is leading an important effort now to evaluate and review the national security implications, and most important, to conduct a review of the methods of access, accountability, and control procedures.
According to court documents, Teixeira has had top-secret security clearance since 2021 because of his job working in cyber defense operations. Some in the U.S. intelligence community say it's become too easy to get access to secure documents.
The more people you have involved in maintaining the systems, the more you're spreading around the information. But hopefully this will be a wake-up call.
Clearly there's an awful lot of work, a lot of congressional oversight work we need to do to fix these systems that are constantly allowing, or at least regularly allowing, our secrets to get out into the wild.
Teixeira hasn't entered a plea yet. He's facing 2 charges, each carrying up to 10 years in prison if convicted. He's being detained until his trial. He's back in court next week. Chris Reyes, CBC News, New York.
Paris once again erupted in protest today after France's top court cleared the way for President Emmanuel Macron to enact his controversial pension reforms. The deeply unpopular legislation pushes the retirement age in France from 62 to 64. It's triggered months of unrest across the country. Susan Ormiston has this report.
Fight and fury on French streets failed to change the course of France's pension law. The Constitutional Council, in a final test, cleared the way to raise the retirement age to 64 from 62. Protesters predicted this isn't the end, but they've run out of road and time to legally force a change.
I'm shocked. We're living in a democracy, and it's not a democracy. So, yes, I mean... We will continue to manifest.
But it's a big win for President Emmanuel Macron, who says he'll enact the law within days. Touring renovations at Notre Dame this morning, he made it clear he had no intent to back down. Not giving up is my motto, he said. The huge protests since January and national strikes rattled the country and pilloried its president for challenging a sacred trust in France.
Like many countries in France, people are getting old, and we need more and more people on the labor market working to pay pensions.
Macron staked his political legacy on reforming pensions rather than run up the deficit more.
You have to do something. Either you raise the legal age of retirement, or you lower pensions.
Decades ago, former President François Mitterrand lowered the retirement age to 60, creating a culture of early exit.
The idea that people could finally live, not be broken down by work, feel the strains of their labour and their jobs.
Pushing it up first to 62, then 64, has collided with widespread discontent.
There's a lot of wider anger, I think, around Emmanuel Macron and his presidency. This opposition to the retirement reform as part of a wider campaign of resistance against what people see as Macronism.
Tonight, nervous tensions again in Paris. Macron has forced France into a new era, but it's cost him. Susan Ormiston, CBC News, London.
Coming up, for anyone who's house shopping these days, There's good news and there's bad news. After the break, we'll show you what realtors are expecting from the market in Canada this spring. You're watching CBC Winnipeg News. The average house price in Canada has gone up. That's according to the latest numbers looking at March's real estate market compared to the month before. And while prices are increasing, they're still far lower than last year's peak. But that doesn't mean it's easier to buy or find a new home these days. Anissa Dari explains.
Families looking for a new home have fewer to choose from these days.
There's fewer listings than your average sort of spring busy real estate market in a regular market would bring. We've just had to broaden sort of the neighborhoods that we're interested in looking at.
That feeling that there are fewer listings is backed up by data. The latest national real estate numbers showing 20-year lows in the amount of new listings.
People don't want to put their houses on the market necessarily when the market is low, so inventory levels are really low, and they continue to be low.
Supply may be low, but other factors are moving up in Canadian housing. The average price of a Canadian home sold in March, more than $686,000. While a big drop from last year, it's up from both January and February of this year. And March was the first time the national average price increased 2 months in a row since interest rates started increasing. And with interest rate hikes paused, the real estate industry is hoping Canadians hop back into the market.
I'm definitely seeing an uptick in listings coming out. However, they are still coming out at a much slower pace than what would normally be seen in a spring market.
While prices are lower than last year's peak, higher interest rates and low inventory could mean things aren't much more affordable at this point. Anis Haidari, CBC News, Calgary.
Weather specialist Riley Laychuk joins us once again. Lots going on this weekend in the province.
Busy weekend. Now that spring is in full swing, we have a lot of events on the go. You were talking about...
There's a race tomorrow morning, very early.
Okay.
The Barkmans in Steinbach.
And I have an event that's happening in McCreary. Let's take a look at that. It's going to be a nice weekend for the Manitoba Maple Syrup Festival. Lots on the go in McCreary, just on the edge of Riding Mountain National Park. -1 in McCreary tonight. +8 tomorrow. It's going to warm up quite nicely as we get through the weekend, and mainly sunny, and 12 degrees as that festival wraps up on Sunday. So it should be a nice weekend to get out for any event that's really happening province-wide this weekend. So right now, 3 degrees in Winnipeg. That's where we've been kind of around the Red River Valley. 3s, 2s, 3 downtown at the moment as well. Looking further west, 5 in Brandon, 6 in Swan River this hour. Around the freezing mark in Barons River at the moment. A little bit warmer in northern Manitoba, especially on the northwestern edge of the province. Flin Flon and the Paw skirting around that 10-degree mark right now, -7 in Churchill at the moment. So you can see this cloud cover here. This is what brought us all of that rain through the early part of this morning in parts of southern Manitoba. Into northwestern Ontario, that rain will continue this evening. We'll see showers ending overnight tonight, +1 in Kenora and Dryden, +2 in Fort Francis. Could even see some flurries in Red Lake through the night tonight as well. Into southeastern Manitoba, right around the freezing mark as well. We'll see temperatures around -1, -2, mostly cloudy skies for the most part. We'll see our winds picking up a little bit as well as we get into the night tonight. For Westman, another partly cloudy night as well. We'll see mainly cloudy skies on the freezing mark. And in northern Manitoba, we'll see a little bit of snow still moving through the northeastern part of the province. Island Lake looking at, we'll pick up another couple centimeters of snow. Flurries in Gillam tonight, and really flurries for Lynn Lake, Flin Flon. Could even pick up a snowflake in the Paw tonight as well. 9 degrees in the Paw tomorrow, 7 in Flin Flon. Still a few flurries out into the northeastern part of Manitoba. Otherwise, not a bad day. We'll see warmer temperatures in the south tomorrow. Brandon, Swan River, Dauphin looking at warmer temperatures. This is where we're going to see the clearing skies a little bit earlier in the day tomorrow, and then mainly cloudy skies the further east you go. So Portage la Prairie, Morden Winkler looking at mainly cloudy skies into the day tomorrow. Winnipeg, a high of 5 degrees, 3 in Emerson, Steinbach, and Sprague. We'll see some sunny breaks late into the afternoon tomorrow. Winds gusting to about 40 through the afternoon, and then just a lingering chance of showers through northwestern Ontario. 6 in Fort Francis, 3 degrees in Kenora and Dryden. Your 7-day forecast still to come.
Thank you, Riley.
No problem.
Meet the Bahati sisters. In the 10 years since they arrived in Winnipeg as refugees, all 6 have launched businesses. Their story after the break. They spent years in Uganda as refugees, having fled civil war in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Then the Bahati sisters made it to Winnipeg. CBC's Nampande Lande sat down with them to find out more about where they've been and where they're going.
The Bahati sisters came together to live out their music dreams. But in recent years, they've put their band on the back burner to pursue their other passion. The sisters were all born in the Democratic Republic of Congo, but the Civil War forced their family to flee to Uganda in 2002. They waited there 11 long years before they were able to come to Winnipeg and reunite with extended family. Odette Bahati still remembers how she felt when they finally arrived.
We've always said that we never had a place called home, because in Congo, we left Congo when we were really young. So we didn't even know, we just know a little bit of the country. And then, like for me, I was 8 years old. And then we move into another country. Again, we don't belong, because we're like, again, foreigners in that country as well. So when we came to Winnipeg, suddenly it felt like home.
Alliance says their mother is the inspiration for their shared passion.
In Uganda, I saw my mom basically buying products and then selling them. My mom, she's a hustler. And I remember sometimes she would go to, like, imagine like a refugee in a foreign country, doesn't know any ministers or any like people in the parliament, and she would just go with no appointment at all. And she would just go to a door. I'm like, hey, I have an outfit that I think may look good on you. And literally a minister of some place in Uganda would literally buy.
I think it's just in the blood, and when we arrive here, it's like a land of opportunity, so we all
took advantage of that.
Yeah.
Since coming to Winnipeg, the Bahatis have begun building on their family legacy of entrepreneurship. Odette stages luxury homes, Francine has a makeup line, Alliance and Rachel both have clothing lines, Glody does photography, and Sylvie has a short-term rentals company and a cleaning business. Other than a family aptitude for entrepreneurship, the sisters say the other secret ingredient to their success is how well they work together.
For us, it's about supporting each other. If Sylvie wins, it's me winning. If Odette wins, it's about supporting each other and be there, be present to each one. If Odette if he's staging and she need my help, I will leave everything just to go and help. I'll call even sick just to go and help Nan or dead.
When you have a big support system, like you just feel like it's a superpower.
It is tough, but when it's tough, but you have people that support you, a supporting system, the things become easy and light. For us, it's all about like we are a community of each other, and I don't think there is us without us.
There's
no us without us. Yes.
Now, despite how well they work together, just like any other sisters, there are some things they may never agree on.
And who's the funniest?
I would say me.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Really?
I think I'm the funniest.
Okay.
Are you serious?
Somebody tell a joke right now.
I think I'm pretty funny, but us is funny a lot. She'll make me laugh.
When I asked the sisters to reflect on how far they've come in the past 10 years and where they think they'll be 10 years from now, youngest sister Glody says she dreams of the simple life.
My business is thriving and I have like a couple things on the side, just living life, having fun.
Soft life.
But oldest sister Sylvie has big ideas and even bigger dreams for their businesses. She wants them to be able to employ other newcomers and give them work experience to help ease their transitions.
I see ourselves like billionaires in 10 years. I think it's not gonna be just mere, it's like 6 figures, 8, those kind of stuff. And also I'm seeing that we are impacting lives and we are changing lives because our first motive is to help and to pay it forward. To what we have had and what we have, to also make sure that other people are receiving back on what we have.
Odette says this is just the beginning.
But I'm just so excited for the next 10 years because, like Sophie said, the first 10 years of our lives in Canada, it was preparation, we just our training ground, testing the waters. So now we have an idea, we have the information, we have the resources, and so then the next 10 years is going to be us really hustling so hard to make sure that we create generational wealth and be able to make our parents proud. And so they said everything that they went through to get us here is worth it.
Your 7-day forecast and daily lift still to come.
Here's a look at your 7-day forecast now, and you know what? We are going to see things getting better toward the end of the weekend. Still a little below normal for this time of the year, 8 on Sunday, 9 on Monday. Then we start to see a little more instability moving in. Could see some rain on Wednesday, some early morning flurries on Thursday before a little bit more sunshine toward the end of the week. And temperatures still a little on the cool side for this time of the year. And now, another take on Manitoba's forecast that seems, sadly appropriate for the kind of weather we've had this week.
Southern Ontario's own Brittle Star provides tonight's daily lift.
Let's take a look at the weather across Canada. The East Coast is looking a little damp, but should clear up mid-morning. Quebec and Ontario are looking at a gorgeous spring day, lots of sunshine. Now, over to Manitoba, where it is end times. We don't know what you did to make God angry, to make you live in Winnipeg and face this. He will make you pay. Alexa, what are Winnipeg's notifications?
A shipment of a buttload of snow has arrived for spring.
Spring? Spring! Not in the peg. In Alberta and BC, a lovely day ahead. Time to start planning your gardening. But not in Manitoba. And that's your weather. Back to you, Lloyd.
Lloyd has retired. He's no longer doing the news and
taking some notes. I think I got to be a little more dynamic.
A little bit dynamic,
you know,
more of
use
that
my hands a bit
fire,
more and,
brimstone
yes,
kind
yes,
of,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Or we're just a week too late bringing you that, you know, finding it. Because it would have been, it was far more scary with the snow on the way.
That's true.
Than the snow all melted and gone.
Have a great weekend.
Have a wonderful weekend in this wonderful place. We'll see you Monday.